All right, we've got to get into what I think is the biggest entertainment story that is upon us currently, and that is the fact that we are getting, yes, more Disney Star Wars coming up. We have a new trilogy that is in development. If that was a fake, woo, that's pretty much what the diehards also sound
Okay,
like.
good.
So
I mean, I didn't even have the enough enthusiasm in it to give a fake woo. So
you know,
EG's more excited for this than I am,
Yeah.
apparently.
in Hollywood, in show business, in broadcasting, you're only as good as your last performance, really.
Yeah,
Right? It's the same
amen.
thing for like fighting sports, and
Yeah.
you're only as good as your last performance. And for Star Wars, cinematically, the last performance was Rise of Skywalker, episode 9.
Holly.
And for me, I think that movie came out, what, 3 years ago? Am I right about that? I think,
Don't know.
I don't know.
Last Jedi was like 2018.
Okay. I want to say it was anyway. I forget about all that. I think it was 2019 actually is when that the last Star Wars movie came out. But it's a situation where that movie stunk to high heavens. It was an overcorrection of episode 8 because there were a lot of people who found episode 8 to be the end of the franchise because of decisions that they made with certain character arcs, and they were very frustrated, and there was this online momentum. It was a very polarizing film. Some people loved it, some people hated it, but either way there was a clash. And they said, "You know what we need to do? We need to go back to J.J. Abrams like we did for Force Awakens." He had decided not to do Last Jedi. He had decided not to do the second film in this trilogy that they did not have a plan for. Big mistake there. And while they played the hits with JJ and Force Awakens, they couldn't replicate that same amount of success with Rise of Skywalker when it comes to how the film was presented narratively. It was a jumbled mess of the most Star Wars ever in a Star Wars movie. We're just going to throw it all in there. All the names of the past. We're going to have Force ghosts. We're going to have ships. We're going to have characters that are reappearing.
I haven't seen it. Force Ghosts?
Yes, there's a Han Solo scene in Rise of Skywalker
Oh,
where he appears as a vision slash dream slash emotional thing. Now,
okay.
once
And
again,
this is not done in the same way that like end of Return of the Jedi is done.
no,
Is it the same sort of idea in the lore or no?
no, this is
Oh,
very much a conversation between him and Kylo to try to turn Kylo into a good guy.
Kylo
oh,
Ren.
Kylo
oh,
Ren,
that
yes.
that
And
sucks.
they do flip Kylo in this movie in Rise of Skywalker, so like it really undoes his entire character arc, which
Yeah.
if there was one character everybody seemed to be on board with going into episode 9, it was Kylo Ren. He was the most interesting new character and completely undoes his entire arc with him basically turning face. It was a mess. It's my least favorite Star Wars movie that I have ever seen. I also don't like episode 2, but we won't get into that discussion. But either way, cinematically, Star Wars ended on a low note. Well, now we go to television, okay? And they started to
The
sort of
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian comes in and everybody's back on board.
Mandalorian reference in Hit Pig yesterday.
Is there really?
There is.
Okay. You're not selling me on Hit Pig. There's a Mandalorian surge of
Yep.
popularity. They're getting it right. It's really good. It's perfect for the small screen. Disney Plus is also new at the time, so people are like, "Oh, we
This
can
is
get into the
cool.
well, you can get into these properties we love through television with people who maybe are better at running these properties than the big cinematic giants." Like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are two people that the fan base rallied around, being in control of the IP. Well, then it starts to get watered down. I thought Mandalorian season 2 was great. I hear Andor's fantastic. I haven't gotten into it. Uh, I know that it ended on a super low note with the Acolyte, an
Yes.
absolute dumpster
Oh,
fire of a show. If you want to see us just completely fall apart week after week, go back and watch our Acolyte reviews that we did.
you're giving me flashbacks.
It's bad. It's bad. The Acolyte is really bad. So bad that they poured all this money into it, and there's not going to be a season 2, even
What was
though
it, 200 or 250 million?
it was something like that to
Around
that
that
note.
ballpark.
Yeah. They are not doing a season 2, which is an admission that they really messed it up. And it ended on a real cliffhanger, but a real low note for the television property. So Star Wars right now, cinematically, is in the toilet because the last outing was episode 9. And TV wise, it's in the toilet because the last outing was The Acolyte. There's some comment I'm going to enjoy that's been said in the chat potentially. I don't
No,
know.
I haven't seen anything in the chat.
Okay.
Just the acolyte. Oh,
Yeah.
so bad.
You got to
Introduced Darth Plagueis, a character Star Wars fans had been just screaming for since he was only briefly mentioned in Episode 3, and they show him for 2 seconds, and now we've abandoned the project completely.
that's pretty much it.
Yep.
It's bad. It's a
Y
really
y
bad series and really pushy towards the sort of ideology that pushes fans away when you're having real world differences that you can find on social media being introduced narratively into the Star Wars universe. Not good. Also, it feels like Galaxy's Edge at the parks has
Oh,
been
yeah.
kind of placed on hold with development and newness and certain activities that fans can really get excited about. So Star Wars right now is in the toilet. Let's just be real about it. You can love the original trilogy as much as you want. You can defend the prequel trilogy as much as you want, as those seem to have aged now with the crowd that's there on social media defending those movies. But the sequel trilogy has left a lot of people with a bad taste in their mouth. They've been developing this Ray movie that I don't know how in the world they're going to market it because they've made some huge blunders and missteps in trying to get it off the ground. But now we have
Mandalorian and Grogu movie, is that still on?
it is. The Mandalorian and Grogu movie is still happening, but now we've learned Lucasfilm is developing a new Star Wars trilogy with Simon Kinberg, who has done work that I really like. Simon Kinberg is set to write and produce the 3 films with studio chief Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy has 9 lives. She cannot be undone. She is the Palpatine of the Star Wars IP. And no matter how much the fan base rallies against her and wants her out the door after misfire and breakup after breakup with different creatives, Kathleen Kennedy somehow survives. And it's due to her pedigree and her
Who does she
connections.
have dirt on? How has she made it?
Everybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking at this point.
So there's a new Star Wars trilogy coming out, and it's going to begin with brand new characters. This supposedly does not tie in directly with episode 9, but I think it does take place in the timeline after episode 9. So I don't think it's going to be bringing any legacy characters in. The Skywalker saga, from what we've seen from Lucasfilm so far, has been concluded there with episode 9. But through there is a chance here that because Disney Star Wars can't get away from tying in old parts of the IP, that some of your favorites may pop back in there somehow, some way, and I don't
I'm
know how.
fully I know nothing about this sequel to the sequel trilogy. Um, I'm expecting that, like, Ray and Kylo end up having a kid that pops up somewhere in this new trilogy, just because Star Wars just can't help themselves but to make every new character a son or daughter of previous IP
Once
characters.
again, you haven't seen episode 9. So
It was already spoiled for me, so I know.
I think the chances of Ray and Kylo having a child are low.
Oh. Oh, that part. Okay.
Yeah, because Kylo kind of got the death knell in episode 9.
Alright. Well,
So I
it'll
don't know
be
if
Rey and Chewbacca then. I don't know, but they'll do something of that level of
yeah,
stupidity.
well, I certainly hope not. That's a whole different type of movie there, Tyler. But Lucasfilm right now is in a situation where they desperately need a hit to revive the IP and make Star Wars something that resonates with the fans that love it so much and quit trying to basically tell the fans that they're the problem. That's a huge mistake. If you continue to point the finger at the fans when you're producing garbage, telling them that they're the problem, they're just going to stop consuming your stuff. And right now, there is no confidence level that can be given to Disney Star Wars. Will they be able to right the ship? We will have to wait and see. But I do like the pedigree of who they've hired here in Simon Kinberg. You may know him from a number of different X-Men projects that he's been a part of, including my one of my favorite X-Men movies in First Class, which came out in 2011. You have Days of Future Past, which is one X-Men movie that almost everyone champions. There from 2014. He also wrote and produced Deadpool and Logan. And there's a pedigree here of really good movies that he's been a part of in the X-Men universe. Can he develop a really strong set of entries for the Star Wars universe? Only time will tell, but that announcement today that these are going to be projects that he is penning and projects that will be produced by Kathleen Kennedy. I root for Star Wars, not against it. But lately, Star Wars has given me nothing to champion and nothing to root for and nothing to let me know that they are on the right track. Kyler, your level of excitement for these projects, how would you sum it up?
Non-existence. Non-existent, rather. I'm just not excited for it. I've been burned too many times with the sequel trilogy and now with the Acolyte. And so I'm just kind of I'm just going to wait it out.
I don't think you're going to be in the minority with that. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are simply going, show me something that excites me because lately all it's been is agenda driven entertainment that does not entertain. And we wonder where the money's going on these projects because it's not showing up on the screen or in the script.
Yeah, I have another conspiracy theory around this.
Okay.
Star Wars is just a money laundering operation now.
There's a lot of people who feel that way. And, until we see the receipts, there's nothing to disprove it.
I mean, you telling me the sets and the Acolyte cost 250 million?
Yeah. There's no way to justify what we got there in that series for sure. Let's see here. You have Smitty saying, I understand The Last Jedi hate. I like it. I also don't hate The Last Jedi, but it is definitely the point in time where everyone was making a decision whether they were going to be on the Star Wars train or off of it. And then episode 9 just tried to be a overcorrection of episode 8, and it misfired, I think, on almost every level. Let's see here. You have Hunter that says, if Palpatine returns again, I don't know what I'll do. I'm still wondering how he returned last time. I think there's some novelization maybe you can read of like how Palpatine showed back up. But they promoted episode 9 as the return of Palpatine, basically.
Yeah.
And then in the movie, they're like, we don't need to tell you how it happened. Okay, weird flex. And another reason why I hate episode 9 so much. So, anyway, that's on the radar there. New Star Wars headed your way. And I'm trying to see exactly, once again, this is in very early development here, but here's what we know. We have the Mandalorian and Grogu movie happening May 22nd of 2026 currently, and two untitled Star Wars movies set for December 2026 and December 2027. But these movies, who knows when they'll actually be able to be cranked out there for the audience. So, are you excited for new Disney Star Wars? Are you thinking maybe they've learned their lesson from misfire after misfire? Let us know in the comments. We would love to hear directly from you.